Without me, you're nothing. He didn't shout. He just leaned close in that corridor at the Miami Gala and said it like a fact. The word nothing echoed louder than the laughter from the ballroom, and I saw it. Someone's phone pointed right at us, recording. My stomach dropped. That was the moment I knew this night would follow me home. I'm 27, an assistant flown in from New York. My job is schedules, decks, and damage control. Honestly, I thought this trip was my chance to prove I was more than just the girl who orders coffee. I packed a cheap Zara blazer and told myself Miami would be different. It wasn't NNTHE ballroom was all bright lights and perfume that clung to your clothes. He went on stage, introduced me as my assistant, stretching the word my like ownership. People laughed politely. I smiled too, but inside, I felt that sting. First red flag, earlier he'd texted me, "Don't overreact to press. Smile." I asked for credit on the internal brief I'd written. He waved me off. "You're too sensitive." Second red flag, that's when I started saving everything. Texts, drafts, even my badge. Not because I planned to fight, but because I needed proof I wasn't crazy. Backstage, I kept busy aligning forks, whispering timings, anything to stay useful. Then came the corridor. He brushed past me, cologne sharp in the air, wall cold against my back. "Without me, you're nothing." No anger, just certainty, like stating the weather. And then the flash. Someone caught it. Third red flag. There was a witness, too. A young reporter, tote bag slung over her shoulder, watching from the corner. Our eyes met. She didn't say a word, but I knew she'd heard. That was when I realized it wasn't just my problem anymore. And I froze between two voices in my head. One, keep quiet, don't make a scene, survive. Two, if you stay silent, he wins. That was the fork. My career on one side, my dignity on the other. NNHE leaned closer, whispering again, "This is for your own good." The phrase hit like a bruise on top of a bruise. My badge scratched against my skin. My phone felt hot in my palm. Options ran through my head. Walk away, speak up, or pretend none of this happened. None of them felt safe. And I adjusted my badge, looked him in the eye, and stepped sideways, not back. He smirked, thinking he'd won. But he celebrated too early, because I wasn't just standing there, empty-handed. I had my notes, my screenshots, my memory, and now someone else's video. NNTHAT night in my hotel room. I typed one line into my notes app. Corridor, 9:14 p.m. Quote. I saved it like a lifeline. Then I set my badge on the nightstand and stared at it. It wasn't proof of my worth anymore, it was proof of his control. And I wasn't going to carry it home like a trophy. And I wasn't brave, not yet. I was just tired of being erased. The night didn't end in the corridor. It followed me everywhere. At the rooftop after party, neon lights flickered over champagne flutes and the city hummed below us. He waved me over like I was part of the decor. In front of two VPs, he handed me a glass of Dom Perignon and said, "She earned this." Everyone laughed. On the surface, it sounded generous. Inside, I heard the subtext. "This is for your own good." And I set the glass down. Said I didn't drink champagne. One VP chuckled. "She's disciplined." The other gave me a long look, like they saw through the act. My stomach twisted. Microhook. That was the moment I realized every gesture was a test. Take the glass. I'm his. Refuse it. I'm difficult. Either way, I lose. NNTHE reporter was there too. Phone angled low like she was just checking messages. At one point, she brushed past me and muttered, "Be careful." Just that. No eye contact. No smile. A warning. And it landed heavier than any compliment I'd heard that night. And near the elevator, he cornered me again. "You're overthinking this. Smile. That's what I need from you." I forced a laugh. It echoed against the metal doors. Microhook. That was when I knew he didn't just believe he controlled me, he believed everyone else expected me to play along too. And back in my hotel room, the carpet reeked of bleach and my shoes sank into the pile. I sat on the bed and dumped my thoughts into notes. Corridor, champagne, elevator. I typed until my hands shook. My badge lay on the nightstand, catching the glow of the bedside lamp. I hated how it scratched against my collarbone, but I kept it. A reminder. A symbol dot around 2 a.m. My phone buzzed. Slack notification. His message. Great work tonight. Proud of you. My skin crawled reading it. Proud of me? Or proud of himself for keeping me in check? NNTHE next morning. His hangover arrived in sunglasses and coffee. At the board breakfast, I poured water, arranged decks, blended into the wallpaper. That's when he gestured to me mid-sentence and said, "She'll follow up." My inbox was empty. I wasn't even listed in the agenda. My phone lit up with his Slack. "Spin it," I typed. "Need clarification." He lowered his glasses, mouthed, "Too sensitive." Microhook. Second time in 2 days. Same phrase. Same script. NNBUT. Then came the break. The reporter found me at the coffee station. Her voice low, her phone tilted toward me. "Did you mean to be in that clip?" My hand froze. On her screen, the corridor replayed. His face. His words, crystal clear over the ballroom noise. Proof. My throat went dry. "Not running it yet," she said. "But someone else is." Multiple angles. That was when it hit me. Silence wasn't mine to control anymore. The story had legs, and it was already moving without me. NNTHAT night. I packed early. Badge zipped into the suitcase. Jacket left on a chair in his suite. Not my job to carry his weight anymore. I texted. Heading to airport early. Half true. I wasn't prepping his files. I was prepping my own microhook. Walking through Miami airport, I felt lighter. Not safe. Not yet. But lighter. Because for the first time, I wasn't the one hiding. By the time the plane touched down in New York, I'd made a decision. He was in first class, sipping whiskey like nothing happened. I was 10 rows back, turning Slack threads into PDFs and screenshots into folders. Not for revenge. For survival. Microhook. That was the moment I knew I couldn't just move on. And Monday felt ordinary from the outside. Burnt coffee in the break room, hum of the copier, the usual shuffle of heels in the hallway. But inside me, everything was loud. People glanced my way longer than usual. Someone whispered near the elevators. I knew why. The clip wasn't just in Miami anymore. It was here. NNHE arrived late, jacket pressed, sunglasses gone. Walked past my desk, dropped a folder, draft responses. Inside were talking points about a successful charity event. No mention of the corridor. No mention of me. He was pretending the footage didn't exist. Gaslighting by silence. Microhook. That was when I realized denial was his plan. And at lunch, HR summoned me to a glass conference room. Neutral smiles, soft voices. "We just want to check in." I nodded, said little. My badge felt heavy on my chest. They weren't checking on me. They were checking on liability. NNTHAT evening, the reporter DM'd me. It's circulating. Multiple angles. Do you want to comment? My hands shook over the keyboard. If I said yes, my face would be tied to the story forever. If I said no, I'd still be the shadow in it. Neither option felt safe. But one felt inevitable. NNWE met the next night in a diner, back booth, coffee that tasted like burnt pennies. She slid her phone across the table. 3 clips. Corridor. Rooftop. Breakfast panel. His voice in all of them. "Without me, you're nothing. You're too sensitive. This is for your own good." 3 toxic phrases. 3 receipts. NNSHE said, "We're running it with or without you. On record, it changes everything." My throat was dry, hands slick against the formica. I thought about the badge scratching my skin, about the champagne glass I never drank, about the jacket that wasn't mine to carry. I said, "On record." NNTHE article went live Tuesday morning. CEO, under fire after assistant's video leak. My phone lit up before I'd even logged in. Colleagues whispering. Strangers DMing. HR emailing urgent check-in. NNHE stormed into the office. Face red, slammed a hand on my desk. Do you know what you've done? His voice cracked, not with rage, but with fear. Microhook. That was the first time I saw him lose footing, and I didn't answer. I slid my phone across the desk. The headline stared back at him, his words in quotes, his smirk frozen on camera. He shoved it back at me. You'll regret this. Empty threat. Because regret is silence, and I wasn't silent anymore. NNBY afternoon. The board announced an internal review. HR moved into lockdown mode, his calendar filled with confidential meetings. Mine, empty, but people stop me in the hallway now. You okay? We believe you. Some meant it, some didn't. But for the first time, they had to say it. NNTHAT, night. I left my badge on my desk. Not scratched against my collarbone, not tucked in shame, just there. A symbol flipped, NN micro hook. For the first time, I wasn't invisible. The fallout moved faster than I expected. By Wednesday, the story wasn't just trending, it was spiraling. Slack threads were full of, "Did you see this?" The phrase, "without me, you're nothing," had already turned into a meme. People were tweeting it over pictures of empty coffee cups and traffic cones. Microhook. That was the moment I realized he'd lost control of his own words. NNTHE board suspended him, pending investigation. HR sent out a bland email about maintaining professionalism. In the office, it felt like a storm that hadn't broken yet. He walked in like nothing had happened, but his eyes darted more than usual. He barked orders, avoided cameras, and slammed doors. He was unraveling, and everyone could see it. NNHE tried to reach me directly. Slack first. We can fix this. Then email. This isn't what you think. Finally, a voicemail. You're ruining yourself. Without me, you're nothing. Hearing that phrase again almost made me laugh. It didn't scare me anymore. It just sounded pathetic. NNBY, Friday, he couldn't hide. At a team meeting, a donor's joke landed wrong. Don't forget your assistant. She keeps you alive. The room laughed. He forced a smile and shot back. She's learning. Sometimes too much. People heard the edge. Cameras caught it. The room fell quiet a second too long. Microhook. That was the moment the mask cracked in public. I kept my face neutral, scribbling in my notebook. My phone buzzed under the table. A coworker from another floor saw the clip. You okay? The leak was already everywhere. He wasn't managing optics anymore. Optics were managing him. NNTHAT night. I met with the reporter again. We sat at the same diner, same booth. The smell of burnt coffee thick in the air. She looked tired but focused. They're lawyering up, she said. Are you ready? I wasn't. But I nodded anyway. Because backing down now would mean erasing everything. And I was done being erased. Board moved quickly. Too quickly for him. Monday morning, his office was empty. Jacket gone. Nameplate stripped. His cologne finally gone from the carpet. The email came an hour later. Effective immediately. Has resigned to focus on personal matters. Everyone pretended to be shocked. No one really was. And I walked past his office once that afternoon. The blinds were open, light spilling across the desk. Empty. Silent. For the first time, it looked like just another room. Microhook. That was the moment I realized the monster shrinks when you turn on the lights. And in me? I wasn't promoted. I didn't get a raise or a title. But I got something else. Space. Breathing room. The badge on my desk felt lighter now. My folders and screenshots weren't leverage anymore. They were proof I wasn't crazy. Proof I existed. NNTHE story faded after a few weeks. Another scandal replaced it. That's how cycles work. But the difference was, I didn't fade with it. People looked at me differently. Some with support, some with suspicion, some with silence. But they had to look. When I finally picked up my badge again, I pinned it without flinching. Not because it defined me, because it didn't anymore. In a microhook. I wasn't nothing. I never was. The days after his resignation felt unreal. My phone buzzed nonstop. Friends saying, proud of you. Strangers sharing their own horror stories, and trolls recycling his lines. Too sensitive. Attention-seeking. Same script, different voices. Microhook. That was when I realized his playbook had leaked into the public, and people were either repeating it or mocking it. NNHR sent another vague email. We thank him for his contributions. The board called it a difficult but necessary transition. The internet called it the Gala scandal. I just called it Monday. Because while the world dissected headlines, I still had to answer phones, process invoices, and book travel. The ordinary never stopped, even when the extraordinary had already blown up. NNHE tried one last time to reach me. A private number, a voicemail I didn't delete. You'll regret this. Without me, you're nothing. Hearing it again didn't sting. It sounded hollow, almost desperate. By then, the phrase was a meme. People printed it on mugs, slapped it on TikToks, made it into captions for dogs in costumes. The power was gone. He wasn't in control anymore. The internet was. Microhook. That was the moment I knew he'd lost the only thing he cared about. His image NNTHE resolution wasn't cinematic. No courtroom showdown. No dramatic firing scene. Just a slow erosion until one morning he was gone. His office stripped bare. His nameplate pulled from the wall. The smell of his cologne finally gone from the carpet. For someone who loved being larger than life, he left quietly. And me? I didn't get a promotion. I didn't get a raise. No one handed me flowers or a plaque for speaking up. What I got was something smaller but heavier. My voice back. My badge didn't feel like a leash anymore. My notebook, my drafts, my folders, they weren't just receipts. They were proof I existed. Proof that silence hadn't erased me. Weeks later, the story faded. Another scandal took its place. That's how it works. Attention moves. But for me, it didn't fade. People still whisper. Some avoid me. Some approach me with awkward solidarity. But at least they see me now. I'm not invisible. Sometimes I replay the symbols in my head. The badge scratching my collarbone. The champagne glass I refused. The jacket with the perfume stain. The corridor. The flash of the camera. The phone screen glowing. Ordinary things that became evidence. He thought those words. Too sensitive. For your own good. Without me, you're nothing. Would trap me. Instead, they became keys. Microhook. And once the lock turned, there was no going back. And I won't pretend it's neat. It's messy. I'm still figuring out if I want to stay in this company or walk away clean. I don't know if I should write my side publicly or just let the article stand. But I know this. Silence isn't safety, it's currency. And when you stop paying, people panic. He panicked. And that's why he fell. Now I ask myself, and I guess I'm asking you too. If your boss whispered in your ear at a gala, "Without me, you're nothing," and you knew the cameras were rolling, would you risk your career to prove him wrong? Or would you swallow it and hope the world never finds out?